I'm gonna teach you a language I wish I didn't have to speak. The language of protection disguised as communication. Every conversation we had existed on two levels: what felt safe to say and what I actually meant. This isn't about decoding mixed signals. It's about understanding why some people communicate through layers of safety when direct honesty feels too vulnerable. Chapter 1: The Language of Testing Safety. When I said I'm fine, I wasn't lying. I was testing. Not testing your patience or your detective skills. Testing whether you were the kind of person who could handle seeing past surface responses to deeper truths. Fine was my way of saying, I'm struggling, but I need to know if you are someone who cares enough to notice when my words don't match my energy. Tuesday evening, after getting devastating news about my father's health. You ask how my day was while we're making dinner. I say, fine, with a flat voice and tense shoulders. Not because I want to hide from you, but because I've learned that some people prefer the easy answer to the real one. When you notice the disconnect and gently ask, are you sure? You seem upset about something. I feel relief flood through me. You pass the test, not because you're supposed to be a mind reader, but because you care enough to pay attention. When you don't notice or accept fine at face value, I learned something important about emotional safety in our relationship. This isn't about playing games. It's about learning whether someone is emotionally available for the full range of human experience. I'm not asking you to solve my problems when I say I'm fine. I'm asking you to care enough to see me clearly. Understanding why people speak in layers requires compassion. Chapter 2: The Language of Fear Disguised as Freedom. When I said do whatever you want, I was offering you choice while secretly hoping you'd choose me. Not because I wanted to control you through reverse psychology, but because I was afraid that stating my preferences directly would make me seem demanding or needy. Do whatever you want was my way of expressing, I have feelings about this decision, but I'm scared that sharing them will make you see me as too much. Friday evening, when you mention your friend Jake's bachelor party weekend in Vegas, I say, do whatever you want, while my stomach knots with anxiety. I'm not trying to manipulate you into staying. I'm trying to be the cool girlfriend who doesn't have insecurities about boys' trips and strip clubs. When you choose to go without checking how I really feel, I learn that my attempt to seem easygoing has backfired. When you sit down and say, I can tell this bothers you, let's talk about it, I feel seen and valued. I'm not testing whether you can read my mind. I'm navigating the fear that expressing my real feelings will push you away. The tragedy isn't that I speak indirectly. It's that I've learned to fear my own emotional needs. This pattern reveals something deeper about emotional safety. Chapter 3: The Language of Hope Disguised as Casualness. When I said we'll see what happens, I was protecting my dreams while nurturing them. I'd already imagined our future in detail. The trips we'd take, the apartment we'd share, the life we'd build together. But saying that felt like jinxing it or scaring you away. We'll see what happens was my way of caring deeply while pretending to be casual about outcomes I desperately wanted. Sunday afternoon, walking through Central Park, when you mention maybe taking a trip together this summer, I respond with, we'll see what happens, while internally creating Pinterest boards and researching flights to Barcelona. My casualness isn't disinterest. It's protection against the devastation I'd feel if I showed you how much I want this and you changed your mind. When you follow up with genuine enthusiasm and start making actual plans, I feel safe enough to let my excitement show. When you let the subject drop and never mention it again, I learned that my guardedness was justified. I'm not being non-committal because I don't know what I want. I'm being non-committal because I want it too much to risk losing it by wanting it out loud. This reveals the deeper fear underneath indirect communication. Chapter 4. The language of love disguised as friendship. When I said I don't want to ruin our friendship, I was choosing guaranteed connection over risky intimacy. Friendship felt safe because it came with clear boundaries and expectations. Romance felt dangerous because it came with the possibility of total loss. I don't want to ruin our friendship was my way of saying, I care about you so much that losing you entirely would devastate me more than never having you romantically. Tuesday evening, when you tell me you have feelings for me, I respond with, I care about you too much to risk what we have, while my heart pounds because I've hoped you'd say this for months. My resistance isn't rejection, it's terror. Terror that crossing this line will change everything. And if it goes wrong, I'll lose the most important person in my life. When you respond with patience and reassurance about our foundation, I feel safe enough to be honest about my fears. When you get frustrated and pull away, I learn that my caution was protecting me from someone who wasn't ready for emotional complexity. I'm not choosing friendship over love. I'm choosing certainty over uncertainty, even when uncertainty might lead to everything I actually want. Watching this, because someone speaks to you in layers of protection, subscribe now. Understanding this language is about creating safety, not cracking codes. Sometimes, protection disguises itself as minimization. Chapter 5. The language of pain disguised as perspective. When I said it's not a big deal, I was minimizing something that felt enormous to protect myself from disappointment if you didn't care. Big feelings require big responses, and I'd learned that showing the true size of my emotions often led to being told I was overreacting or too sensitive. It's not a big deal was my way of bringing up issues while giving you an easy exit if you didn't want to address them. Wednesday evening, when you cancel our dinner plans for the third time this month, I say, it's fine, it's not a big deal, while feeling like this pattern reveals something important about my priority in your life. I minimize not because it doesn't matter, but because it matters so much that your dismissal would be unbearable. When you take my words at face value and move on, I learned that I was right to minimize. The issue really isn't big enough for your attention. When you look deeper and say, actually, this seems important to you, I feel relief at being seen accurately. I'm not playing games with significance. I'm protecting myself from the shame of caring about things that others might find trivial. This pattern leads to the most heartbreaking form of protection. Chapter 6. The language of defeat disguised as dismissal. When I said never mind or forget it, I was retreating from connection after feeling unheard or unseen. These weren't invitations for you to pursue harder. They were expressions of giving up on being understood in that moment. Never mind was my way of saying, I tried to share something important and it didn't land the way I needed it to. So I'm protecting myself by withdrawing. Thursday evening, when I start explaining why I've been anxious and you check your phone for a text notification, I stop mid-sentence and say, never mind, it's not important, while feeling like your attention span for my inner world has reached its limit. I'm not testing whether you'll fight for the conversation. I'm genuinely giving up because the interruption taught me something about where I rank in your priorities. When you put the phone down immediately and say, I'm sorry, please continue, I feel valued enough to try again. When you seem relieved that I've dropped it, I learn that my withdrawal was self-protective. I'm not ending conversations to create drama. I'm ending them to prevent further evidence that my thoughts and feelings aren't worth sustained attention. These 6 languages create our complete protection system. These 6 languages reveal why some people say one thing while meaning another. We don't speak in code to confuse you. We speak in code because direct communication has taught us that our full emotional truth is often too much for others to handle comfortably. Every translated phrase is a test of emotional safety. Can this person handle my real feelings? Or do I need to offer them a diluted version they can manage? Here's what I learned about my own communication patterns. I wasn't being dishonest when I spoke in layers. I was being careful with something precious, my authentic feelings, until I could trust that they be received with care. The 6 languages aren't about deception. They're about emotional survival in a world where being too direct, too needy, or too intense often results in being abandoned or dismissed. Understanding someone's protective language isn't about becoming a better decoder. It's about becoming someone safe enough that protection layers become unnecessary. If you're currently trying to understand someone who communicates indirectly, maybe they're not being deliberately difficult. Maybe they're being careful with their emotional truth because past experiences taught them that full honesty comes with risks. And maybe the question isn't how to crack their code. Maybe the question is how to create enough emotional safety that they don't need to speak in code anymore. How do you prove you can handle someone's unfiltered truth? How do you show that their authentic feelings are welcome rather than burdensome? How do you love someone enough that they don't need protection from your response to their real self? These questions require patience, consistency, and the understanding that emotional safety is built through small actions over time. If you want to understand more about why people need layers of emotional protection, watch my video, She Ignored Me But Never Let Go. That video explores how creating space sometimes becomes necessary when direct communication feels too vulnerable, and why healing happens differently for everyone.